What really separates one business from another is not even product or service. Building that brand really separates you. And if you don't build that brand, you won't do well in the long run.
We are witnessing the technology evolution in front of us. We don't know what the outcome, we don't know how far it will go. We just know that train has left the train station.
It's just going to get harder and harder to make tech decisions. You need less tech, not more. You need the right tools. Make your bets on fewer things and lean into them to be more successful.
I'm Sara Faatz, and I lead awareness and community at Progress, and this is 10-Minute Martech.
There's 45.1 billion searches a day on the internet. And this is why we believe search has changed from search engine optimization to search everywhere optimization. We're optimizing for the social channels, and the list goes on and on. What really separates one business from another is not even product or service. Building that brand really separates you. And if you don't build that brand, you won't do well in the long run.
That's Neil Patel, co-founder at Neil Patel Digital. So Neil, let's jump in. You once said we should stop thinking about SEO as search engine optimization and start thinking about it as search everywhere optimization. Can you break that down a little for us?
Quick stat for you, there's 45.1 billion searches a day on the internet. There's Google, there's Instagram, there's Baidu, there's Amazon, the list goes on and on. Google has the most, 8.5 billion searches a day. Apple has probably one of the least at 500 million searches a day, okay? So to give you guys context.
Wow.
So when Google's controlling 18+% of the market share, what you'll end up finding is it's a big chunk, but it's not the only chunk. Instagram itself has 6+ billion searches a day. So if someone's searching for a purse, yeah, you can be found on Google, but why wouldn't you want to be found on Instagram, TikTok, have ChatGPT recommend your purse brand like Chanel or Louis Vuitton? And this is why we believe search has changed from search engine optimization, which would be traditionally optimizing for Google and Bing, to search everywhere optimization, where you're optimizing for the social channels. You're optimizing for the traditional search engines. You're optimizing for the AI chatbots. You're optimizing for App Store. You're optimizing even for the marketplaces like eBay and Amazon, and the list goes on and on.
It seems to me that the way people are searching has changed, right? Their behavior has changed based on the tools that they're using. So instead of searching for a phrase, they actually are asking questions.
Yes.
How do you think that's going to change the way we think about content creation?
Content creation is getting more specific, and not just specific where you're answering longer tail questions. You're giving concise answers, and then you're drilling deeper. So if you can give a concise answer, you're more likely to show up when these AI models are answering a question and citing a source, not all cite sources. And this will help you get more play, more traffic, more brand awareness. But if you answer a question with a 5-paragraph response and you need all 5 paragraphs to understand the response to the question, you're less likely to be shown when people are using these AI bots.
When you're looking at websites, what should people be thinking about?
Yeah, so when you're looking at websites, the thing that people should be looking about is you first start with keyword research. So there's tools like Ubersuggest, Answer the Public that can help you find these longer tail queries that people are typing in. B, how can you answer questions quickly and concise? And then C, by continually doing keyword research, you can figure out all the ancillary topics that people have questions about regarding to the main topic, and make sure you answer those in your article as well. And then you're more likely to show up. Microsoft was recently asked what things impact AI pulling from your website and recommending you. One of the things they said was how up-to-date your content is. Remember, Wikipedia ranks for everything everywhere. Why? Because people rather read a 3-week-old article versus a 3-year-old article. And Wikipedia tends to be up-to-date because of the community.
As we look ahead, maybe to like 2030 or even beyond that, what does a website or a digital experience look like? What other things are you seeing the future for that digital experience all up?
I do not see a website going away. It's still very valuable and very important. But there's also now multiple storefronts. It used to be your storefront was your website. Your storefront can be Amazon, basic. A lot of us already know that and are familiar with it. It can also be things like Instagram and TikTok. On TikTok, there's social discovery, and you can buy a product right then and there. And so with Instagram, it'll also eventually be within these chatbots as well. It gives all these players the opportunity to take a slice out of the market and generate more revenue. But it's not going to be just your website as a storefront, and it hasn't been for a while. It's going to be a combination. For example, a lot of companies' storefront is actually their mobile app. A great example of this is Uber. Uber storefront is an app versus a website. Does it mean the website's not important? No, you kind of need both. And that's the world we're going to go into in the future. And the biggest change is going to be there's going to be a voice storefront. It's probably using the wrong terminology, but these voice devices are becoming extremely popular. With the combination of AI, they're going to become even better. And the younger generation is learning to search through voice before typing on a keyword. We're very backwards compared to the younger generation. So for them, voice is going to be normal. They're going to think it's crazy how we actually type in a computer to do a search.
What are the burning topics that you're thinking about right now? What's keeping you up from a Martech perspective?
Yeah, the biggest thing is how do you end up tracking the user throughout the whole journey? It's no longer someone does a search, clicks on an ad, and then goes to a website and buys. It's someone sees you on Instagram, then they may do a search and click on an ad. They may end up opting to email lists, get your emails, do another search and find you, see a video of you on YouTube, get another email or remarketing ad, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I know this company, let me buy. And that journey may have been 3 to 6 months before they purchase. So how do you track and how do you attribute? And it's getting trickier and trickier with privacy.
So I guess I want to lean into AI one more time, just a little bit. When, so many people, so many organizations right now are lured in by the efficiencies of it, and especially content. But there are a lot of different ways from a MarTech perspective that people are thinking about AI. What do you think is the most practical and powerful implementation of AI today? And what do you think people should be staying away from?
What they should be staying away from is just using AI for a lot of content creation. You want to dub your content like through tools like the HeyGens of the world and translate and transcribe your video content in other languages. That's fine, not 100% accurate, but that's a fine use. But these days, a lot of people are using AI to just create text-based content or images. We're not seeing the images do well on social. When we did a study of 68 websites, 744 articles created half AI with human modification and the other half pure human. We found after 5 months that the human written content got roughly 5.44x more traffic than the AI written content. And when we analyze it from traffic received from organic search versus time spent to create the content, the human written content still performed better, right? So minutes spent versus the output a visitor created, the human content still won. And I think, that's what people really need to stay away from. And that's what's so sexy to a lot of people. One of the best implementations of today that we're seeing is data and analytics. Depending on the source that you see or read online, ad spend wastage, digital ad spend wastage, there's over 600 billion being spent every year. Some sites report in the 50 to 60 billion range, some report 80 billion, and every so often you see some websites report 100 plus billion in spend. Let's take the low number to be conservative, 50 to 60. Well, if there's around 60 billion, right, and it's more than 600 billion, and if it's 50 to 60, you're probably looking at somewhere around 8-ish% of wasted spend. If it's 8%, using data and analytics in real time to tell you what's working, what's not, and where to cut is great. You still need a human to check it because it's not always 100% accurate, but that's a huge savings financially. It's boring and ugly, but that's where the money is in AI, and people want to do the sexy stuff instead.
Yeah, well, I would say that saving money is pretty sexy. What book are you reading right now? And outside of your book, what book do you recommend every marketer has on their bookshelf?
So right now, I've been traveling a lot. I'm not reading a specific book, but I read tons of articles on the internet. I probably spend 2 to 3 hours a day reading. One of my favorite books to read for entrepreneurs is The Dip by Seth Godin.
Okay.
When
Yep.
to Stick It, When to Quit. It's a really cool book. Another book I would recommend is Art of the Start by Guy Kawasaki. And another one that I would end with is Principles by Ray Dalio, which I love. Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, CNBC, The Economist, Business Insider. Those are some of the sites I'm reading on a regular basis. I read a lot of CNBC and Bloomberg.
Yeah. What parting words do you have as marketers enter 2025? I feel like the playbooks that we've had in recent years, post-pandemic, are out the window. What do you think the one thing that they can do in 2025 to improve their ROI from a Martech perspective.
Build a brand. Okay, and this is why I say build a brand. And I know that's not exactly from a Martech perspective, but it is, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Because of technology, right? And if you look at all the Martech solutions out there, people can pretty much copy you, do whatever you're doing, run whatever campaigns you're running, analyze data however you're doing it. What really separates one business from another is not even product or service. AI is making it easy to replicate other people's products, right? What's the real difference between Nike and Adidas? They both make quality shoes. But the real difference between those two brands is the logo, the brand. And I believe that's the only real moat left in marketing and in business. And with all these Martech solutions out there, the thing that separates you from your competition isn't the technology stack, because we all have access to the same technology. It's the question of, do you want to spend the money? And it's becoming more readily available and cheaper over time. But building that brand really separates you. So companies in 2025 and beyond really need to double down on building a brand, because that's what's going to create that loyalty. That's what's going to create that word of mouth marketing. And to really build that brand, you got to leverage omni-channel marketing. We call it the rule of 7 in marketing. When someone sees or interacts with the brand 7 times, they're much more likely to purchase and evangelize. And if you don't build that brand, you won't do well in the long run. Last piece of advice I would give people is give it 10 plus years. It takes 10 plus years to really build a brand and get the marketing flywheel really going and becoming efficient. Of course, you can get traction way before that, but after the 10-year mark, businesses really can start exploding, but most people aren't patient enough to give it 10 years.
Hey listeners, you can follow Neil on LinkedIn, and please remember to follow Progress as well. Look for links in the show notes. And as always, this podcast was brought to you by Progress. Achieve transformational success in the face of disruptive change. With Progress, you can develop, deploy, and manage responsible AI-powered applications and experiences with agility and ease. We'll see you next time on 10 Minute Martech.